Through the ages, many have chosen to explain heavenly events through astrology, the belief that the heavens exercise a supernatural influence over life here on Earth. From the dawn of history, man has stood on Earth gazing into the heavens, trying to make sense of it all. Staring into the vastness of space and twilight, what could have been more baffling to early man? The setting sun disappearing with the light and its warmth, the rising moon ushering in the cold, dark night, and a light show of distant stars slowly materializing before their eyes. For most ancient civilizations, anything that couldn't be explained by the primitive science of the day was believed the result of supernatural, often divine forces at play. They noticed patterns in the great star grid that have been passed down to us remarkably intact as the constellations of the zodiac. Astral signs thought to exercise a mystical influence over our lives. Imagine what early men must have felt beneath the canopy of cosmic glitter.
You have to look at the entire history of our understanding of the world, and for that matter, the cosmos, as a continuity that goes back at least to the old Stone Age.
The story of how we've systematically observed the heavens begins in the days before recorded time. For primitive man, the sun reigned supreme. Its recurring cycles of light and darkness formed the basis of the first organizing principle of our natural world, day and night. This was the most basic astronomical observation, and man's first attempt to explain what was going on down here by observing what was happening up there. In effect, ushering in a belief system that looked for casual connections between heavenly and earthly matters. Many believed the sun needed to be persuaded to reappear after the cold, dark night. What was going on up there? For our earliest ancestors, with little in the way of scientific knowledge, it was a natural next step to ascribe supernatural answers to nature's most basic questions. Early man's sense of wonder at the sun's immense powers led naturally to belief in a sun god. In different forms, they are found in the pantheons of many early cultures. On the ceilings of Egyptian temples, the red dots follow the sun's daily path across the sky, a painstaking and elaborate tribute to the god that brought them day and night. In fact, the Egyptians explained the sun's daily cycles through the goddess Nut. Her arched body was said to cover the whole earth. Every night, she swallowed the sun. It then trailed through her body to rise again the following morning. The sun also provided the most basic natural daily clock. Most primitive people noticed a relationship between time and shadows. And it was in ancient Egypt that the first recorded sundials were found. By 1724, the Maharaja Jai Singh in India had created the world's largest sundial, accurate to within 20 seconds. Sundials were used right up until nearly 100 years ago, when heavenly-based timepieces were replaced by the clocks and watches of the modern world. In fact, the human body seems attuned to the same rhythms as the sun's daily cycle. Our natural daily schedule begins when the sun is first rising in the sky, with or without any reference to clocks or calendars. Even the earliest civilizations created monuments with an uncanny ability to accurately track the sun's seasonal cycles. Before the pyramids, the Irish built perhaps the most remarkable ancient buildings on the surface of our planet. In Eastern Ireland, a cluster of burial mounds were designed to mark the shortest day of the year, the winter solstice, when the days begin to grow longer and warmer, and a primitive farming people were reassured that soon it would be time to plant again. The greatest among them is the prehistoric site at Newgrange, a huge circular grave some 250 feet across. A long stone passageway extends from the entrance to a great vaulted chamber. where the ancients preserved the bones of their dead. Above the entrance is a rectangular stone box. The tomb was aligned so a shaft of light from the rising sun on the winter solstice would enter the box, travel down the stone passageway, and illuminate the rear of the chamber wall.
Newgrange is one of the oldest structures on Earth. It's older than Stonehenge, it's older than the pyramids. It probably had a great religious or ceremonial significance.
Many hundreds of miles away, on the Salisbury Plain in southern England, is perhaps the best-known solar temple and calendar of the ancient world. When these massive stones were somehow levered into place, Egyptians were only beginning to build pyramids, and yet the awesome structure at Stonehenge could accurately track the cycles of the sun, moon, and stars, suggesting an understanding of the cosmos far from primitive. Stonehenge is aligned to the rising and the setting of the sun. At the summer solstice, the longest day of the year, the sun rises over the marker known as the heel stone. At midwinter, it sets at the direct opposite end of the monument.
It's quite probable that Stonehenge itself was some sort of model of the cosmos.
From Stonehenge to ancient Egypt, worship of a sun god continued to bear testament to the power of the heavens on earth. One pharaoh, Akhenaten, was engaged in a bitter struggle with the priesthood by claiming a direct alliance with Egypt's all-powerful sun god. 1400 years before the birth of Christ, Akhenaten proclaimed the sun god all-powerful and banned the worship of any other. In ancient Egypt, the sun was called the Aten, the pharaoh's name meaning loosely friend of the sun. Akhenaten closed any temple not in tribute to the Aten and marshaled gangs to literally wipe the names of all other gods from all public buildings. All mankind was to worship the sun, the Aten, the sole and supreme deity. But encouraged by their priests, the people rose up, refusing to abandon the old gods and goddesses. Soon after Akhenaten's death, the old gods were restored, and a new pharaoh, a boy of just 9, came to the throne. His real name was Tutankhaten, again in honor of the sun. But with the disgrace of the previous pharaoh, the young king realigned himself with the beloved god of Thebes called Amun, and became known instead as Tutankhamun, the most famous Egyptian king in history. But for the ancient Egyptians, the sun was even more than an object of worship and the foundation of a religious sect. It provided the basis of their understanding of the seasonal year, a legacy still with us today.